Very rarely do I find a movie or a show or a game or even a comic that really has such an impact on me that I kind of can't stop thinking about it even when I step away. Now, this has happened before a few times. It happened when I played The Last of Us for the first time. And that was years after most people had played it because I didn't have a PlayStation. But, I'd go to work and I could not stop thinking about that game the whole time I was playing through it. It just had such an impact. It was so gripping. Now, for me, I just finished Arcane, the League of Legends series on Netflix. And once again, I'm having that same attachment to it. It's very gripping. Now, a few weeks ago, I remember asking a few friends of mine at work, or rather we were discussing, and I said, hey, I'm really excited about this new series. And I said Arcane, and one of them kind of brushed it off and was saying like, oh yeah, I think Julian mentioned that. He said it's something to do with League of Legends. Now, I'll tell you right now, I am not familiar with League of Legends, hardly at all, never played it. And still, from the brief trailer I saw, Arcane looked just spectacular. It looked beautiful. I had no idea what the story was going to be about. I had no idea who the writers were. I didn't really know anything else other than it looked visually appealing. It was very aesthetically pleasing to me. So I went into it blind. And to be honest, if you haven't watched it yet, I encourage you to go into it blind. I'm going to be really trying to not go into spoilers at all because I do not want to ruin the series for you. But I would definitely encourage you to go into it blind. And when I mean blind, I mean not only was I not familiar with League of Legends, but I didn't know how many episodes there was going to be. I didn't know if it was a limited series or just season 1 of a series. I didn't want to know any of this stuff. I was afraid to look it up because I didn't want to spoil anything. So I dove in and I immediately discovered what is now one of my new favorite series. And I did not expect that. Now, this is not going to be a normal review because I'm not going to break it down episode by episode or anything like that. I'm going to keep it vague on purpose because, again, I don't want to spoil what I would call the magic of this show. And I actually mean that. There's a ton of other channels that have done really in-depth reviews. I may do that at some point. But I'm going to use broad strokes and more so just kind of share the impact that this show had when I was viewing it. So going into it blind, I don't know any of the characters, but they're so well written and they're so well fleshed out that you immediately become attached to them and gravitate towards them for different reasons. They're all very distinct. And it was interesting because with a lot of shows, I feel like I'm either trying to predict what's going to happen next or you kind of know where it's headed. With this show, I didn't have that. I just kind of let it play out, and it was actually really enjoyable to just sit back for the ride. So significant events happen in episode 1, which, have impact and ripple effects throughout the entire rest of the season. And it's amazing because all the characters are somewhat tied together, some loosely and some much more close, but ultimately, again, so much of it has to do with the first episode and, more so the first 3 episodes. Now, keeping it vague, but in the first 3 episodes, I started noticing that a lot of the story arcs were seemingly closing or coming to a stopping point. And I got nervous because I didn't know how many episodes were in this series. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, this might be some really short 3-episode season or something like that. And I was kind of annoyed because I was enjoying it way too much and I did not want it to be over. And ultimately, it's longer than 3 episodes, don't worry. And the way it actually plays out after those first 3 episodes is spectacular. But it was funny because every time I watched an episode, I didn't know if it was going to be the last one. And I was just like, oh shit, like on the edge of my seat, which is a really cool feeling. It's very rare that I experience anything like that. Visually, I think this show is unrivaled. In my opinion, I think this show is absolutely gorgeous. It's spectacular. Previously, for animation, specifically like 3D animation, and I think in my opinion, the gold standard was probably Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, and I saw that in theaters, on the big screen, and it was fucking gorgeous. It was absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. And then I think breathtaking and jaw-dropping, those are the only words I would use to describe Arcane's visual style. Because I was even trying to explain it to my wife, and she saw some clips. She didn't watch the whole thing. So we'll probably do another review once she weighs in on it. But, there was some parts of it where it looked very realistic, and then other parts where it was still 3D animation, and it was stylized, and a lot of the characters, they look almost painted in a way, and it's very unique. I absolutely loved it. But then certain elements are also much more cartoony. So it's like you're watching multiple styles of animation simultaneously working together in it, and they pull it off. It is phenomenal. It is spectacular. Now the writing is, again, next level. These characters in this world is so lived in and so well fleshed out and thought out and in depth. And I didn't realize that League of Legends was so complex and so fleshed out, to be honest. Now, it's interesting. I started looking up more videos after I finished it because I didn't want any spoilers. And I would, again, encourage you to check this out without spoilers. But I started looking up more videos, and, I was looking at music videos for some of the music because, by the way, the soundtrack is phenomenal as well. And I'm using that word a lot, and I'm very consciously using that word phenomenal. So anyway, I started looking up other videos, and I saw a video that's on the League of Legends page for a song called Get Jinxed. Now, Jinx is a character in the show, and I would actually say that Jinx might be my favorite character, and I'm pretty sure that's a cliche thing to say. I think that's probably the most popular answer, but I thought the story arc and the writing and the development of this character was absolutely brilliant and very intriguing, and I cannot wait to see what happens with this character next. But this song was called Get Jinxed. And I didn't watch it because I didn't want any spoilers. And then I didn't realize it until today when I just clicked on it. That song was posted 8 years ago. So this character has been around for almost a decade in League of Legends. And they did a beautiful job of adapting this character for the film, for the show. Staying very true to the character's original design. Minor changes here, but nothing drastic. No big overhaul. Nothing they did was a big slap in the face to the fan base, at least just based on looking at the costume then versus now, because that is a controversial thing we see all the time, where they'll take established characters and they try to modernize them and end up just bashing the fan base and ruining these characters, and ultimately leads to the bullshit that happened with like Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, which I didn't watch. I'm not really familiar with the anime. I have no desire to watch the live action show. I've only heard bad things, and I don't really respect the way that some of the cast members went about addressing the fans when concerns were brought up about appearance and casting and such. But anyway, that's another video. So anyway, this song Get Jinxed, I'm looking at this character and I'm like, holy shit, that's the character from the show. I didn't realize she's been around almost a decade. They did a really good job of bringing her to life in this new series. However, and this is the one thing I'll say about Jinx, which is mildly spoilery, but I think it's kind of obvious if you watch a trailer or anything, or just look at the character. She's definitely kind of a Harley Quinn-esque character, the broken girl, and it makes her very complex and very fun because you learn more as to why that is in the show. But, you watch it in the music video from 8 years ago, and it seems more playful and fun, and it's just kind of like, oh, we did the broken girl thing because that's cool. Whereas in the show, you watch it and you learn how she ends up that way, and you're like a little heartbroken, and it's very heavy and very impactful and incredible. They did a really excellent job. So soundtrack, visuals, writing, all superb, absolutely spectacular. The fight scenes and the action, so fun, so fucking fun. Like raises the hair on my arms. It was so, I felt like I was in them. It was really spectacular, really awesome. Sometimes the style would change. For example, like a certain character is introduced in a fight scene, and the animation style completely changes, and it actually did something that I thought was so cool because it changed the entire animation style, but it also was doing kind of flashbacks at the same time. Basically, they just kind of made up their own rules. They were not afraid to step outside the box and just get really creative and fully embraced the visual medium that is, animation. And you could tell they didn't feel like they were restricted by any one set of rules or anything like that. And for me, I don't watch a ton of animation, although it is funny because I was a big fan of the show Invincible, And I know that's where most of my followers actually came from. You know, my few videos I did on Invincible blew up for my baby channel here. And, you know, so I can imagine, yes, a lot of us are comic fans. This is primarily a comic channel, but a lot of us are also animation fans. So I am expanding my animation library. I've got Ghost in the Shell, the actual anime, and I've got Akira on Blu-ray, so I'm going to watch those soon and, you know, expand my horizons that way. But right now, yeah, 3D animation, we're talking about Arcane. If you're sleeping on this show, don't. If you disregard this show because it's League of Legends and you don't care about the game or you don't respect the game, get that shit out of your head right now, because I didn't know a thing about the game. And the funny thing is, too, the ironic thing, the entire time I'm watching the show, because it is so fun and because the action is so alive, I'm going to say, I just kept thinking to myself, oh my god, I would love to play this. Oh my god, I would love to play this. Oh my god, I would love to play this. Now, granted, I don't think League of Legends, the game, is going to have the same effect as the show with the action and such because of what style game it is. But still, I mean, this show really did come to life, and it was such a blast to watch. This is a surface level review, you know, where a critic might say 4 stars for a movie, or like, this is a must see or something, and they're not actually sitting there diving into the plot and breaking it apart and all that. So this is a surface level review, and I'm going to say this show, for me, is going to be 10 out of 10. I was given things that I didn't even know I wanted, and now I can't wait to see what's coming next. They have announced a season 2 is in development, and personally, I'm really hoping that it expands on what we saw in season 1, because without, again, a specific spoiler, season 1 does end on a note where you're like, oh fuck, what is going to happen next? So I cannot wait to see what happens next with that. But from what I've gathered from some other videos, League of Legends just seemed to be a very complex, in-depth world with a lot of different characters and lands and all sorts of different stories, and I hope that they slowly start to incorporate those into the show and really just expand and build something really special. Now, what I really don't want to have happen is for this show to get caught up in its own hype and end up doing what Stranger Things did. I think Stranger Things Season 1 was a masterpiece. It was epic and amazing and original and fun and fresh. And I recently rewatched them, or rather I kind of watched them and had them playing in the background as I was working on my comic book, so I was drawing. And you could just hear in the dialogue, and you can see from Season 1 to Season 2, I still enjoyed it in Season 2, but it had definitely lost a lot of what made Season 1 so special. And by Season 3, it basically seems like a silly parody of the entire franchise. So with each season, it seems to be getting worse and worse and veering farther away from what made the show so special and iconic in the first place. I really hope League of Legends does not do that. However, given that this is a franchise that's been established for roughly a decade, hopefully they stay true to what they're doing with this show, stay on this path, and if I honestly don't even know what they could do to improve on it. I know I sound totally like a little fanboy right now, but I really don't know what they could do. I mean, the writing, the animation, the characters, the action, the soundtrack, everything. The pacing is fucking phenomenal too. There was not one point where I was like feeling like it was moving too fast or too slow. It was perfect. So I don't know what they could do to improve it, but even if they just keep the same level of quality and just start expanding the story and telling different stories, introducing new characters, I'm here for the long haul. I'll keep watching it. I'll keep tuning in and keep singing its praises. Again, I'm probably going to do some videos breaking down more specifics. This was more so just kind of a long-winded show of appreciation, and again, a push for you to get on this fucking show and start watching it if you haven't already. Don't sleep on this. If you do, and then later you find out this is a masterpiece, you're going to be like, oh shit, why didn't anyone tell me? I'm telling you right now. Check this out. I don't care if you follow League of Legends. I don't care if you're a big animation fan. There's so many times this animation style is so unique, it doesn't even feel like, you're not watching like a little cartoon or something. So check this out. You will not regret it. This is some fucking A+ top shelf shit happening here, and you need to experience it. You need to check it out. And then you need to drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you've seen it already, drop a comment below. Clearly, I want to sit here and talk about it. So let's fucking dive in and discuss this. As always, guys, thank you for listening. I'll be back with more. I've had so much going on lately. I'm a dad now, and I'm just working on my own side projects and my own comic and just very busy, but I'm going to try to be more active on the channel. But yeah, like I said, let's discuss Arcane. Let's really dive into it and nerd out. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.